Hi, welcome to episode 28 of The Kitchen Sink, my weekly vlog. I am Eric J. Barkman, and welcome to Level 7. Just as a warning, this episode will include spoilers, so if you haven't seen S.H.I.E.L.D. pilot yet, you should go watch that first, then come back and watch this. What does S.H.I.E.L.D. stand for, Agent Ward? Strategic Homeland Intervention, Enforcement, and Logistics Division. And what does that mean to you? It means somebody really wanted our initials to spell out S.H.I.E.L.D. So Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has finally started, with the pilot episode airing last week. I very much enjoyed it. It was a good episode, although there were some flaws. My biggest complaint in the first episode was the scene near the end after they had shot Mike Peterson, the guy that they were looking for throughout the episode, and kind of, just showed them all looking at each other and first concerned, then happy and such. I just thought the scene was shot a bit confusingly. It took me a little while to realize he'd been shot with a cure and not, just taken out. And I know they were probably shooting it that way to, make it more dramatic, but it still felt off. That was my only major complaint, though. There were, minor things here and there, but that's to be expected with a pilot episode where they're still figuring out what works and what doesn't work and testing different things out. I'm sure as the show goes on, they'll get a better understanding of what works, what doesn't work, figuring out all the characters' voices and that sort of thing. One thing that was a little bit disappointing was that there weren't too many references to the comics. Most of the stuff mentioned in the pilot that's also in the comics is stuff that was from previous movies. They mentioned a lot of the characters like Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, Captain America, Black Widow. I don't remember Hawkeye being mentioned, but I may have missed that. Of course, also mentioned Nick Fury, and of course they have Coulson as a main character, and Maria Hill was the first episode as well. So various other things like the Chitauri tech still being littered around, gamma radiation, Extremis, super soldier serum, were all things that were mentioned in the show, but all of that is in the movies. Although one interesting reference, although what I've since heard is an unintentional reference, is the character Mike Peterson, played by J. August Richards, who is actually a character in the comics, although apparently that was coincidence. They just picked the name not realizing he was a character, since he's a relatively minor character. Although interestingly, even though the name was a coincidence, the character was black and was a superhero fan, much like one in the show. Although in the comics he himself was not a superhero, he was rather friends with a superhero by the name of Slapstick, a character whose powers were basically that he was a Looney Tune. Essentially that was it. He could do all sorts of crazy reality warping things like a cartoon character. More direct reference to the comics though will be Lola, Agent Coulson's flying car, as flying cars like that are S.H.I.E.L.D. standard in the comics. Although that particular model, as far as I know, has never been shown in the comics. Lola was, I believe, a 63 Corvette. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong on that. I'm not a car person. I just looked it up online and I may be misremembering. Whereas comics, there have been various different cars, although it is fairly common for them to be red sports cars. And of course, this is also a bit of a continuation of what we saw in Captain America, where Howard Stark was showing a flying car at the Stark Expo near the beginning of the movie. Tomorrow is, of course, the second episode, which is titled 084. As was mentioned in last week's episode, that's a S.H.I.E.L.D. code for a situation that they really don't know what's happening. So I'll, of course, be checking it out tomorrow. I hope you do too, and come back here next week to see my thoughts on it. So if you have anything to say about the episode, mention it in the comments below. Thumbs the video up if you like it. Thumbs it down if you don't. And don't forget to subscribe. And have fun.